65 passengers lost their lives after this pilot let his children in the cockpit. On March 23rd, 1994, an Aeroflot aircraft was flying from Russia to Hong Kong when the airplane tragically crashed. Only a few hours into the flight, one of the pilots allowed his 2 children who were also on the flight to enter the cockpit so that they can see how everything operated. The pilot's 16-year-old son Elder and his 12-year-old daughter Yana had the opportunity to sit in the pilot's seat and play around with the aircraft's controls. Of course, autopilot was on, so this was not supposed to be dangerous. Well, at least that's what he thought. The pilot told his son Elder that he can turn the plane to one side so he can experience.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web. From YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebooks, man, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank you guys who's been tapping into the channel, subscribing, smashing that like button, man, hitting that post notification. But that's how we grow. That's how we can grow our community. So great, appreciate the support. Let's do what we do best. Seek the truth.
You guys, this is absolutely horrible. Police in Yukon, Oklahoma received a call yesterday at 9:35 in the morning from a 10-year-old little boy claiming that he woke up and found the other 5 people in the home to be deceased. When police arrived, they said it was a total massacre. In a press conference this morning, police announced that 42-year-old Jonathan Candy had gotten into an altercation the night before with his wife, 39-year-old Lindsay Candy, and at that point he got out his firearm and shot her numerous times. He then systematically went through the house and unalived his 3 kids. They're 18-year-old Dylan, 14-year-old Ethan, and 12-year-old Lucas. This is an older photo from 2017, but it's the only one I could find so far. The police said they're unsure why that 4th child was left unharmed. Lindsay and one of the kids was found downstairs, and the other 2 kids were found upstairs, and they said that one of them was in their bed. And they don't know if anybody tried to fight back, but they believe that pretty much as soon as he saw one of them, he just took their life immediately. It was also reported that there was never any kind of history of domestic issues within the home, so nobody really has a clue what made him decide to do that.
He just snapped?
Prayers going up to the family and the friends. I can't even imagine.
Wholesome facts that will make your day slightly better, part 1. When a human sees a puppy, a chemical called dopamine is released in the brain. Elephants also release dopamine when they see people, meaning that they think we're cute in the same way we think puppies are cute. There's a YouTube channel called Dad, How Do I that teaches young people things that would typically be taught by a father figure. From how to change a tire to how to tie a tie, fans of the channel think it's super helpful. When you're on a walk with your dog and they stop to take a dump, you may notice that your fluffy friend is staring at you as they poop. They do this because they're in a defenseless position and they're trusting you to keep them safe. There are more public libraries in the US than McDonald's. After the horrific events of 9/11, a small Kenyan tribe known as the Maasai people gave 14 cows to the US in their support. The man who played Mickey Mouse ended up marrying the woman who played Minnie Mouse, meaning that true love actually exists.
That's true love right there.
These are animals that were scarier than dinosaurs, part 2. The helicoprion was a 20 to 25 foot fish that existed around 270 million years ago. It was discovered when paleontologists started examining a mysterious fossil that contained a row of teeth and swirls. It was given its name after scientists concluded that the fossil came from a shark-like fish, and it was believed that the teeth were located on top of its nose, while others believed that the teeth were attached to the lower jaw, or even on its dorsal fin or down its throat. Either way, a shark with a saw for teeth is terrifying. Next, the forest rastae is nicknamed the terror bird for a good reason. After dinosaurs went extinct, these 10-foot birds became the top predator in South America for 60 million years.
Really?
Their beaks could easily break the spine of a horse and crush the skull of their prey with one headbutt. They also had the same feet as T-Rexes. And lastly, the Titanoboa is considered to be the biggest snake to ever exist, with a measurement of 50 feet in length, 10 times the size of a green anaconda. It lived 60 million years ago in what's now Colombia, and scientists were conflicted when studying this creature as it defied the laws of gravity. Usually, most land animals don't grow as large as this is because of gravity, but those that live in water don't deal with the same issues, which is why we have creatures like the blue whale. So many believe that the Titanoboa spent a lot of time in water. Not to mention, it also preyed on crocodiles. So if one still exists, stay on land.
Disclaimer, depending on when you're watching this, there might just be a gender war in the comments, which is crazy because We're talking about baboons, so you probably know the deal with baboons, right? Usually the biggest, most belligerent alpha males, you know, the top ape, they're the ones that get the most, you know, while the lesser males, the best they can do is get the scraps. And how does a baboon become an alpha? Oh, easy. Violence. Lots of it. It's like a vicious cycle. The most aggressive baboons are the ones doing the most gooning. The more baboonery becomes generational. Except the cycle did break at one point. There was a point, I think it was like in the 1980s or something, where a bunch of baboons ate at a garbage dump, caught tuberculosis, and took a permanent leave from life. Oh, they dead. And with a lot of the aggro males out of commission, that left a lot of mild-mannered survivors. Now, you might think they took the opportunity to start big flexing, like on some bully become the bullies type shit. Actually, no, they were in fact chill like that. Now, normally the alpha males would regularly have temper tantrums and would beat on other males, females, and if you were an unsupervised minor, you could really get the Hulk to Loki treatment. But nah, these new males were kinder. They would spend more time grooming females, but not like in the weird YouTuber kind of way. And they would even babysit for other females. And you know, since male baboons leave their birth troop to join a new one, new members would see this and be like, oh, so this is what we doing? I bet. Basically, there was a whole culture shift, and all it took was the bullies getting blacklisted from the census. And yeah, we're still talking about baboons here. The same ones that jump leopards and eat baby gazelles fresh out the womb. Those baboons, the more you know.
Like I said, the more you know, man. Change happens over time. Prime example of nature.
A high school football star who took his own life after falling victim to a sextortion scam is finally seeing justice. Nigerian brothers Samuel and Samson Ogoshi posed as a woman on Instagram and tricked 17-year-old Jordan DeMay into sending them intimate photos. They demanded the teen send them $1,000, threatening to share the pictures with his friends and family if he didn't pay up. 6 hours later, DeMay was found dead. His last message was, "I'm killing myself right now because of you." Now the scammers have pleaded guilty to conspiring to exploit teenage boys.
The infamous case of the woman that cut off her husband's manhood. When Lorena married John Bobbitt, she thought that it was going to be happily ever after. But in reality, John started hurting Lorena the second they tied the knot. Physically, emotionally, and then he started essaying her. This guy was a huge a-hole. Unemployed while his wife worked 2 jobs, forced Lorena to end a pregnancy that she wanted to keep. Cheating on her. On top of all of that, he would go out, get super drunk every night, then come home and essay Lorena. Then one night in June of 1993, after John essayed his wife and passed out drunk, his wife Lorena went to the kitchen to get herself a glass of water, where a large cutting instrument was in plain view, which Lorena took back into her bedroom and cut off John's member. She then got in her car and left and threw it out the car window. But somehow they were able to find it in time and reattach it after a 9-hour surgery. There was actually 2 trials in this story, one for what Lorena did to John and one for what John did to Lorena, and they were actually both found not guilty. They obviously divorced and went on to live very different lives. Today, Lorena is a wife and mother, and also the founder of her own foundation against domestic violence. After the incident, John went on to star in some adult movies. Today, he's unemployed and has been married and divorced 3 times. And just last week, he publicly announced that after drinking contaminated water, he had to have all 10 of his toes recently amputated, which doctors were unable to reattach.
Is this AI? Netflix is
came
facing
back
criticism for allegedly using computer-generated images in a true crime documentary. What Jennifer did details how then 24-year-old Jennifer Pan arranged a kill-for-hire attack on her parents, but what's really haunting viewers is some of the uncanny pictures used in the movie. In one of the photos in question, Pan's hands appear to be missing fingers, and parts of the background look warped. In another, her ears and teeth look amiss. Now viewers are questioning whether or not the use of AI in documentaries is ethical. So what do you think? Is there a serial?
I don't think that's ethical, man, because documentary, that's supposed to be like, you're supposed to have the facts straight, down right to the point. AI, you can use that to manipulate the pictures, the facts, and things like that. So that takes away, I guess, the truth of it, which is the whole point of a documentary, right? To present the truth. This technology is getting too crazy.
Killer terrorizing Texas. 2 bodies have been found in Austin's Lady Bird Lake, bringing the total to 12 since 2022. Police say the deaths are likely accidental due to the lake's proximity to popular nightlife spots, but rumors of a possible Rainy Street Ripper continue to swirl as the bodies keep piling up. While cops have ruled out foul play in several cases, at least 1 death remains unsolved. One local bartender has a hard time accepting there's not something more sinister at play, saying, "I find it hard to see how people could leave Rainy and end up at the lake." have to walk blocks to get there.
Guys, there's breaking
Something
news
going on
out
there.
of Yukon, Oklahoma this morning, where reports are that 5 individuals from the same family were all found DEAD in their home. Now, I know your first thought is that it was an MS, but the word is that it is not. It was not. This was a very brutal homicide. The word that I'm getting, of course, this is unconfirmed, but the word that I'm getting is that it was a mom and dad. They have 4 children. 3 of those children were still in school. 1 of those children graduated last year in 2023, and that it was their 10-year-old son who actually made the discovery. Mustang Public Schools there in Yukon, Oklahoma have confirmed that 2 of those victims were students at that school. Law enforcement was called to do a welfare check, and they went in and they discovered what is being described as a very violent scene. There is no official word on the actual cause of DEATH. Sorry, I'm having to spell everything out. I just don't want this taken down. I do know the names of the victims. However, I have not seen that publicly released anywhere. I'm not going to go ahead and share it. I'm going to wait until law enforcement officially gives names, releases names. They are supposed to be giving out more information tomorrow morning. As soon as that information is available, I will come back and share it with you guys.
The Egyptian woman that you just saw in that video, Manar Sami, was sentenced to 3 years in prison for the content she posted on TikTok.
No way.
But what exactly was she posting on TikTok that got her sent to prison? Well, nothing out of the ordinary. Dancing, lip syncing, and basic innocuous content. But she was arrested in 2020 on charges of, I'm going to read this to you, inciting debauchery, immorality, and stirring up instincts.
What?
Yes, she was arrested for immorality and inciting debauchery with her dancing TikTok videos. Well, Manar, like I said, was eventually sentenced to 3 years in prison.
No.
This happened back in 2020 when a number of Egyptian female TikTok influencers were randomly targeted and sentenced to prison time. After being found guilty, she was also ordered to pay 300,000 Egyptian pounds to the government. She did eventually get out of prison though, and she's still active here on TikTok. And over on Instagram too. I just couldn't believe it when I saw that video and saw that content like that got her sentenced to 3 years in prison. It's pretty wild to me.
Nah, just imagine y'all doing some TikTok dances and man, the police pulls up to you and just say you get 3 years in prison because you were inciting debauchery. You will look at them like, what the hell are you talking about? Different laws in different places in the world. Never ceases to amaze to me. She only got 3 years for dancing? Edit. That's one of the most bizarre cases we've heard yet.
Which, Shannon, stingrays are pregnant all the time, right? Who cares? Wrong, because this stingray is in a tank of all other female stingrays and some sharks.
So stingrays are one of the few animals able to do parthenogenesis, which is just cloning themselves without fertilization, aka they need a man about as much as a fish needs a bicycle, which is not at all. And as close cousins of stingrays, some sharks like hammerheads and blacktips can parthenogenesis as well. Komodo dragons and zoos have been known to do the multiplying magic trick too. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know everything. I googled the number, and apparently there's over 80 animals that can have an immaculate conception. But that really shouldn't be surprising. There's an animal that only ever uses this because they got the opposite of a sausage party. They got clouder power. Clouder is a name for a group of cats. This is a whip-tailed lizard, and every single one alive is a female. There are no males in existence. Where did they come from? Where they all go? Don't ask me. I honestly don't know. If someone more knowledgeable than me wants to drop the facts, please do. I'll pin you. But yeah, they're all female, and they all use parthenogenesis. But the freaky part is they still gotta, like, how am I gonna say this? Alright, basically what I'm afraid Godline's finna do to me, these lesbianist lizards pretend to do to each other, because I guess it triggers ovulation. I don't know, bro. I'm still stuck on the fact all the males got snoot off the senses. But yeah, from lizards to dragons, from pythons to water placemats, some animals can Xerox themselves, the more you know.
Damn. Never knew.
Recently, several women have been randomly punched in the face.
A man came up and punched me in the face. I just got punched in the face.
He's so sorry, and then punches me.
Punched me and punched
The injuries range from a black eye to as severe as a broken nose. The man believed to be responsible is 30-year-old Jean Carlos Zarzuela. Police caught and arrested him, but the court utterly failed. He was quickly released from jail without bail, and 9 days later at the Grand Central Terminal in New York, he struck again. According to reports yesterday, he punched an innocent 9-year-old girl, leaving her dizzy and in pain. As of now, he is currently in jail, but if the court failed to keep him locked up and removed the bail, who's to say he's not going to be released again? With that being said, if you are a woman living in New York, please keep an eye out for this man as he's extremely dangerous.
Former cop showed up at the school yesterday during dismissal and took the life of his ex-wife, and then he fled. And looking for him, the cops went to his home, and then they found his 17-year-old girlfriend there, whom he got pregnant at 15. She was unalived also. Now, this happened in Washington, and the age of consent in Washington is 16 years old. So he was due in court yesterday to answer to charges of him impregnating her at 15, as well as taking advantage of her friend who spent the night at their home. So the 17-year-old girl had moved in with him, and she had a friend over that was 16 years old. They was drinking throughout the day or whatever. Then she said that she went to bed with her friend, in the bed with her friend. She woke up to her boyfriend, who's 39 years old, taking advantage of her friend. Like I said, he had impregnated his girlfriend, and when this happened, that baby was 9 months old. But now that baby is he has abducted that baby, and he's on the run. Now the 17-year-old's name is Angelica Santos, but they call her Jelly. And Jelly's brother did take to Facebook yesterday because he thought the former cop had also abducted Jelly and the baby, but it turns out that Jelly was in his home unalive. Now, he and his ex-wife do have 2 children together. She tried to change the custody arrangement because she felt like he was a threat to her and her children. She said he was emotionally and mentally unstable. He had been harassing her so much throughout their divorce that she had to get a protection order. On top of going through that, he was also dealing with the issue with the 16 and the 17-year-old that he got pregnant when she was 15. Now, I just hope that in them catching him, he don't decide to take his life as well as that baby's life.
Crazy ass case.
Are you tired that the police are finally going to figure out that you're the one with all the dead bodies in your basement? If so, congratulations, you once again made it to Criminal TikTok, and today I'm going over some tips and tricks on how to not become a serial killing suspect. So if you have a friend who might need this video, make sure to tag them below. Tip and trick number 1, a lot of serial killers, as they kill more people, they get more and more lazy, so they stop driving out as far and get closer and closer to their home. You're basically leading the detectives directly to your house. So make sure as you kill more people, you go further and further away. Alright, tip and trick number 2, ideally you're not even unaliving people in your own country. You see, you might know your own country more, but your own country also knows you more. If you're constantly traveling to new countries and having a little bit of fun while you're there, the police will never look in the right place because they always expect someone who lives there or had a connection to the victim to be the one that did it. And also think about it, when was the last time you heard of an international serial killer? You haven't, because they never get caught. Step number 3, I know it's very hard for some of you to limit yourself, but if you could hypothetically limit your unalivings to 1 every 2 to 3 months, and in different locations, the police will never connect these together, giving you a much greater chance of escaping. Last but not least, a lot of people get caught because they'll commit a completely separate crime, and the police will investigate them and figure out that they're the ones doing the serial killings. Yeah, just don't be that guy. Thanks for watching, and follow for more tips and tricks.
I knew
Look into
I would
his
end up
TikTok.
dead. Those
There's
were the
something
chilling final
awful about
words
that.
Laura Cowell wrote to her daughter after falling victim to a Match.com scam before mysteriously drowning. The widower had been in a relationship with a man she met on the dating site who went by Frank Borg for over a year when her body was found in a river nearly 4 hours from her home. Before her death, Borg had scammed her out of $1.5 million.
What?
Her car was found 50 miles from her body, and her cause of death was determined to be drowning.
West Virginia man gets life for killing his daughter and son-in-law over an alleged incestuous relationship. On April 22nd, they found him guilty for 2 counts of first-degree murder. This whole thing happened back in 2022, and he will now serve life behind bars. He needs to serve 30 years before he'll be eligible for parole. Apparently, cops pulled up to the scene with reports of gunshots. That's when Carl Cox behind me said he had to wrestle the gun out of her boyfriend's hand to shoot him. However, his story was not adding up. Both of them were lying in bed, and it looks like they had been shot while they were lying down. They also found a few bullets that penetrated through the mattress. So Carl Cox's story behind me was just not adding up. There was also no signs of struggle. So he was trying to frame this entire incident. And of course, a good old surveillance camera caught him walking towards the bedroom with a gun in hand. And he kept lying in court. But he messed up when he told a fellow inmate that he killed both of those people. His daughter and his son-in-law. I'm not sure what his game plan is here. He was lying to the court but telling others what he actually did. But here's where things make sense and get really, really disgusting. One of his children came forward saying that he was having an incestuous relationship with his daughter that he shot. So I guess he got jealous that she had a boyfriend or husband and then went and killed them both. Now that is absolutely disgusting, and that makes a lot of sense with this story. Let me know what you guys think about this case in the comment section below, and as always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
Crazy. The things people will do. I get freaking when they get jealous. But that was just a disturbing relationship in itself.
This is the creepiest unsolved mystery because this man is still out there. Like, they never caught him. The media called him Mr. Cruel, and he was a predator from 1987 to 1991 in Australia. This literally looks like a creepypasta, but I swear it's not. He had 4 attacks, and they were similar. He was either abducting children or abusing them. He'd stalk his victims for months to plan out his attacks. Like, listen to this. So all of these pictures are like real police sketches of what he supposedly looked like, which just makes it so much creepier. Like, this is his first attack. He was armed with a knife and a handgun. He was wearing his mask. He broke into this house at 4 a.m. and he locked the parents in a closet and tied their young son to the bed, cut the phone cords in the house, and did unspeakable things to the daughter. All very young children. Another attack, he broke into the home with the same weapons, the same description. Also at 5 a.m., like very similar times, he bound and gagged the parents, and then he abducted their daughter. He addressed the daughter, her name is Sharon, by her name. Which is alarming because it's like, how did he know her name? Does he actually know the family? No one knows who this guy is. Maybe this was their neighbor. Similarly, once the family was able to free themselves, they went to the phone and all the phone lines were cut. Next day, they found their daughter walking around with a trash bag. She said that she had been assaulted many times and tortured in unspeakable ways. And he gave her a bath after and clipped her nails and flossed her teeth so there wouldn't be any evidence. Also, this is all for educational purposes, of course. When the last victim was abused and abducted, her family put out a $300,000 reward if she was ever returned. And they involved the police, but she was never found again. They ended up finding her skeleton years later. Like, this guy walking his dog stumbled upon her skeleton, and she had 3 wounds in the head. All of these attacks were very calculated, and there was no evidence. There was literally no evidence. This man was so smart, no one could ever identify him. He thought of everything. And they think that they found evidence, they think they'd have a lead, they'd question people, and then they'd get thrown off. They narrowed it down to 30,000 suspects, and then they watched them, and they questioned 15,000 of them, and every time they got a lead, they'd get thrown off. So no one ever knows who this man is. He might still be out there. He might be gone by now. Who knows? If you like my content, follow my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more. It really helps when you interact. Also, go check out those other platforms because you know what's going on right now.
This is probably one of the most hated people on the internet right now. MrBeast did another competition where ages 1 through 100 compete to win $250,000. During one point of the competition, they spun a wheel, and whatever number it landed on, that was the number of the person that then got to decide the fate of all the rest of the contestants whose number the wheel landed on. Number 43 was in charge, but had number 42 in their ear, basically telling them, just eliminate everybody. Now, before the contestants were eliminated, they had the chance to plead their case on why they should stay. And then it finally lands on number 11, which is an 11-year-old child.
You are a kind person. You are kind enough to not eliminate me.
Save Gio! Save Gio! Then we had 42 in her ear saying,
don't do it. Now's not the time to develop a heart, okay?
43 responds and says, okay, and proceeds to eliminate number 11.
So much. You are literally the coolest 11-year-old I've ever seen. You've got tons of energy and spunk, and your future is super bright. But unfortunately, your time here is over.
And number 11 cheerfully leaves the game. However,
wow, that's cold-blooded.
towards the end of the game, they blacked out everybody's queue. And if only one person left their queue, they would win $250,000, which was what the prize was to begin with. But if another person stepped out, they were both eliminated and no one got the money. Oh, number 42 yelled, "I'm going to walk out of my queue," which meant if anyone else walked out, then they both lose. So 42 steps out, and at the very last second, 58 also walks out, just so 42 doesn't win.
He said you ain't getting that money, my guy.
If you've been following, you know Alicia was abducted from her bed by 16-year-old Aaron Campbell. He's just been moved to an adult prison where he says he is terrified that he'll be targeted for what he did to her. You see, on July 2nd, Alicia was actually on vacation, visiting her dad on the Isle of Bute. He and his girlfriend reportedly watched Peppa Pig with her before bed, and like everyone there, they left the house key in the front door. Now, meanwhile, about 5 minutes away, then 16-year-old Aaron was celebrating the end of exams. He had about 15 friends over that night, but by 12:30, he reportedly got into a fight with his mom, and his attitude changed. One of his friends actually came up to his room to check on him, but he just insisted. After going to get some substances, he'd be fine. His friends then ended up leaving his house, and he texted the couple who was known to sell him said substances. And that was Alicia's 26-year-old father and his girlfriend. As we know, at 1:46, Aaron texted Robert like he always did, but with no response after 6 minutes, he decided to head over there himself. He then walked the 5 minutes to Alicia's grandparents' house where he lived, and armed with a kitchen knife, he simply walked inside. Alicia's bedroom was actually the closest room to the door, and as soon as he saw her, he, quote, knew that he had to kill her. From here, Aaron picked Alicia up, and he started walking with her along the shore. She actually woke up at one point and asked what was going on, but he told her he knew her dad and was just taking her home. Instead, he took her to the old site of the Kyles at Butte Hotel, where he inflicted 117 catastrophic injuries. Tragically, a coroner would note that he violently shook her, and he took his time. Now, come the next morning, when Alicia wasn't in her bed, the entire town started searching. And then, around that same time, her dad and his girlfriend, of course, saw that they had this missed text from Aaron. They called him back that morning to ask what he needed and to see if he could help look for Alicia, but he responded, quote, "It doesn't matter anymore. And oh damn, I'm sure she's not gone too far." Now, by 8 that morning, a local searcher found Alicia's body, along with all of her clothing had been thrown into the sea. Her funeral was held about 5 days later, but her mom wasn't the only mother there upset. Aaron's mom was there too, and she actually wanted to do anything she could to help. So, she offered to check her family's security cameras. Now, when Jeanette checked these cameras, her heart sank, because there was her son leaving at the same time Alicia disappeared. She immediately went to ask him about it, but he must have had a good explanation. She ended up taking that footage and giving it to police in an effort to clear his name. As we know, while police initially brought Aaron in as a witness, he eventually confessed to the crime in detail. He was charged with murder on July 4th, but as if it couldn't get worse, he then said he was quite satisfied with what he'd done. He was then legally disowned by his parents, and for the first time in Scottish history, a judge ruled to release the juvenile's name. In the end, Aaron was sentenced to 27 years in prison, telling psychologists that he'd been having dark fantasies for years. He's already been hospitalized several times from attacks at the Young Offenders Institution, which may explain why he was training every day for this move to adult prison. Again, reports state that he knows he'll have a target on his back for what he did to Alicia.
This woman poured boiling sugar all over her husband's body, and this case is absolutely mind-blowing. This case takes place in England on July 14th, 2020. Karina Smith was a 59-year-old woman and was married to an 81-year-old man named Michael Baines. I tried to find pictures of Michael, but I think none are available on the internet. Michael was in need of care due to his poor health, and because of their difference in age, Karina was able to become his primary caregiver. The two had a child together named Michael Jr., and Karina had another son and daughter from a previous relationship. But in 2007, her son Craig took his own life at just the age of 25. Before his death, he went to prison for attacking a man. Following this, Craig became distressed and spoke to his mother. He said the man he attacked was a predator, and that a predator had touched him inappropriately in the past. He said, "Mom, he's a predator." Shortly after this, Craig took his own life. Karina had formed a relationship with Michael while he was in his 40s and her in her 20s. She said the relationship was positive at first, but that was until his age began to become more noticeable. And things started to deteriorate as he aged, but despite this, she still provided Michael with the care he needed. On the 13th of July 2020, people who knew Karina said she had been acting differently and was described as angry and very upset. This was because her daughter had opened up about some horrific trauma both she and her now deceased brother had experienced at the hands of their stepfather, Michael. Karina's daughter told her that when they were younger, Michael would take advantage of them both and would touch them inappropriately. After Karina heard these allegations from her daughter, she remembered what her son told her about being attacked by a predator. The guilt of Craig's suffering from such a fate stayed with her for years, and a deep rage began to burn inside of her. On July 14th, 2020, at around 10 a.m., Karina returned to her home that she shared with Michael. She entered the home and grabbed a bucket, along with 3 kilograms of sugar that she had just bought. She then began to boil a large amount of water, creating a boiling syrup. Once this concoction was ready and scalding hot, Karina slowly entered Michael's bedroom. Michael was fast asleep and totally unaware that his wife was standing over him holding a bucket filled with boiling sugar. Filled with rage, Karina began to pour the boiling sugar all over her sleeping husband's body. Michael woke up and began to scream as the liquid destroyed his skin. This mixture of sugar and boiling water is often referred to as prison napalm, due to the horrific burns it can cause. Once the bucket was empty, Karina ran over to her neighbor's house, which was 9 doors down. She banged on the door until the neighbor answered. Karina didn't know her well, but told her what she had done. The neighbor called the police and explained what happened, and when the police arrived, they entered the home and found Michael whimpering in bed with skin on his arms and torso beginning to peel off. Michael was rushed to the hospital and Karina was arrested. Karina was then asked why she did this to her husband, in which she explained what her daughter told her, and that she became so enraged that she poured the liquid all over her husband. Michael was able to be stabilized but suffered burns to 36% of his body, and 2 weeks later Michael passed away from his injuries. Karina was then charged with murder and was then found guilty of murder, and she was sentenced to life in prison, with a minimum term of 12 years. Cases like this always cause division. To some, Karina was a hero and someone who took revenge to protect her children, while others see her as a reckless murderer who killed her husband based off one simple allegation. So let me know your opinion on this crazy, crazy case.
Man. That kids told her, she just snapped. And when that rage boils inside of you, you don't know what it will make you do. Guys, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a truth seeker, seeking the truth. I really appreciate that, man. Can you guys subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, also hit that post notification bell. Have you guys noticed I've changed it out my style, man? Like I said, you guys told me to quit the pausing. I like trying to limit to 3 or 4 times a video. I'm letting it play out. Hold my thoughts till after, man. I said stop saying seeker, so I'm gonna stop saying that. I ain't gonna say it a couple of times, man. But that's our community, man. That's what we called, and I just want to grow that, and I know we can do that together. So really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, these changes are coming to the channel. Guys, stick with me, man. We're gonna end April off strong, man. Can I get a like clapping emojis in the comments, man? I haven't missed a day of April. Haven't missed a day yet. Daily uploading. Guys can catch you in the next one, man. Hello, seeking the truth with you guys. Peace, YouTube. What's up, seekers? Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, we break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikToks to IG Reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank the seekers, man, who's been tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, hitting that like button, man. We guys are growing the community together. Really appreciate that, man. Like I said, I changed the volume, so let me know if you guys can hear the videos even better, man. With each and every video I'm trying to do, get the settings right for you guys. Found this video for you guys today. Seek the truth, seekers.
Facts about the ocean that are scarier than any horror movie. First up, I bet you didn't know that you can literally melt in the ocean. Because in the deep sea, there's something called hydrothermal vents that can reach up to 750 degrees Fahrenheit, which will allegedly cause your body to melt. But by then, you probably wouldn't even notice because all your bones would have likely been crushed by the pressure. The next fact is honestly even scarier to think about. You know how we have so many scary stories about sea creatures, like sirens, the Loch Ness monster, or giant squids? Well, a lot of the creatures that used to be just a story are slowly being discovered as real. For example, the giant squid, which scientists found were not only real and over 59 feet in length, but are also cannibals. If that's not bad enough, here's more. Because the ocean is basically a giant graveyard.
In 2014, researchers diving into an underwater cave in Mexico found the remains of a girl estimated to be 13,000 years old, meaning there's a high likelihood that if you go missing or drown that you would probably never be found. There's also 10 million viruses in every drop of seawater, meaning viruses in the ocean outnumber all of the stars in the Milky Way. The actual number is estimated to be 1 nonillion, which is a number I've never heard before, but here it is written out. That itself makes me never want to go swimming in the ocean again. Follow for more. Photos.
What the hell? 1 nonillion? Learn new stuff every day, man, watching these videos with you guys. As I said, tap in with us. Those facts about to see, those are just scary. I can't believe there's more viruses like in the sea than there's stars in the Milky Way. If you think about it, that's freaking mind-blowing. 1 million. We love our lands.
Lots of people before and after they went missing. Number 1, Reimer Webb. Reimer Webb went missing and was found 4 days later on his own in a completely rural area. Number 2, Brenda Heist. Brenda Heist went missing for 11 years. Daughter, family, everybody sent search parties looking for this woman, and 11 years later she turned up looking like this. Steve Carter. Now this is an interesting one. Steve Carter was searching an online forum when he came across a missing child case. He realised that the child was him. Imagine finding this out online as a grown adult. If you like anything weird, scary or a little bit creepy, please support my channel by giving me a follow.
That last story.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 19. Facebook was forced to shut down 2 artificial intelligence robots named Alice and Bob because they started communicating with one another in their own language. If you ever win the lottery, you're 120 times more likely to be killed by an immediate family member. A sloth has nipples in its armpits. In the 17th century, there was a man named Tare who could eat his entire body weight in just one sitting. And despite being pretty skinny, he would swallow live animals, eat human corpses, and was even accused of eating the body of a 3-year-old toddler. An 11-year-old boy named Konorak escaped Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment, but was later returned to Dahmer by police, and he killed the boy just 30 minutes after. It's commonly believed in religion that angels look like this, but according to the Bible, they actually look like this.
6 things you didn't know.
Those things we learn, seekers, man. Especially about the part about the winning the lottery. I didn't even know that was a known statistic, known fact. It goes to show you, seekers, man. Once you get that money, you instantly become a target, man. It doesn't matter if it's friend, family. You just gotta watch out who you be around because you're the target. You're the biggest, I guess, threat in the room. Damn. I think about that guy who can eat his whole body weight in the city. It's old stories, man, that I'm just not hearing.
Know about the Pocong and where you can find them in Singapore. Before we start, let's talk about the story behind the Pocong. Pocong is one of the most infamous ghosts in Malay mythology. Pocong is the soul of a deceased person who is doomed to roam the earth due to unfinished business. According to Malay funeral practices, the body has to be tied in several places to keep the body intact. When the body is put into the grave, the knots are usually removed. According to Malay belief, the soul usually stays in earth for 40 days. So when the knots are not removed, the soul gets stuck in the body and jumps out of the grave as a Pocong. The first thing you didn't know about a Pocong is that they can age. If the Pocong has a body of a person who died recently, the Pocong will look young. And if the Pocong has a body of a person who died long ago, the Pocong will look old. Number 2, Pocongs don't walk, they hop like a rabbit. Since the knots on their feet are not removed when they are buried, they can't walk, so they hop. Sometimes they even roll around in the ground. Number 3, Pocongs are also known as vampires because they love to drink blood. They do so to absorb the life force of a person to feel more energetic. Number 4, Pocongs have the ability to teleport anywhere, but their most common place is to be under a banana tree. Number 5, the red Pocong is the most aggressive kind of Pocong. This Pocong will attack even without being provoked, and since they are very aggressive, they are known to be the leaders of Pocongs. Number 6, apparently if you hug a Pocong, you'll have a luxurious life. If you hug a Pocong, you might untie their knots, thus releasing their soul. Thus, out of gratefulness, they will reward you with enormous wealth. Most common sightings of a Pocong were reported at Poughkeepsie, so all you Westsiders stay safe.
Pocongs. We're going to dive deep into that, man. See some more of the history of those. They can teleport too? We believe that? Dr. Cat.
Interesting facts you didn't know. The last one will shock you. There are only 2 people alive who know the recipe of Coca-Cola, and they aren't allowed to travel on the same plane in case it crashes. Did you know that TikTok knows who has a crush on you? Your secret admirer is the second person that appears when you click on share than WhatsApp. Research shows that most dog owners would rather hang out with their dogs instead of other people. There is no single comment under this video with 0 likes. People who like the smell of gasoline, nail polish, and acetone have a very strong tendency to do drugs. Before passing away, Albert Einstein said a few words in German. The only person to listen was a nurse who didn't speak German. If you comment evil, you will unlock a new secret TikTok emoji. Remember to use the brackets with small letter. There is a species of jellyfish that is biologically immortal. This means that it can theoretically live forever as long as it doesn't get eaten or injured. The world's oldest piece of gum is 9,000 years old, and it was found in Sweden. And now, before the last fact, support us by pressing the plus button for more interesting content every day. The probability of you drinking a glass of water with molecules that have passed through a dinosaur is almost 100%.
10 facts you didn't know that could save your life. If your house ever smells like fish for no reason, 9 times out of 10, it's because there's an electrical fire. If you're in a foreign country and you need to call for help, but you don't know the emergency number, call 112 and it'll automatically connect you to the nearest helpline. If a tornado looks like it's not moving, it's actually moving towards you. If you ever wake up to the smell of gas, don't turn on a light. The spark from the light switch could blow up your entire house. Lying flat on your back is the best way to survive a falling elevator. If your hair ever stands up, duck and cover because you're about to be struck by lightning. If you ever fall off the edge onto the tracks, don't try and crawl back up. There's a crawl space built to go underneath in case this happens. If a deer runs across the road, it's better to hit it than swerve into the ditch. But if it's a moose, then it's better to swerve into the ditch, because hitting a moose is like hitting a brick wall. Even if you have no service, you can still dial 911. In an emergency, your phone will connect to the nearest tower. If you ever get kidnapped into the back of a vehicle, disconnect the brake light wires so the cops will pull them over. Then kick on the door to let them know that you're there.
Just in facts. You're gonna have to write those down.
Footage will blow your mind. A Bangkok Airways pilot sat in his aircraft and filmed what looks like dozens of people exiting a plane. Passengers are seen towing their luggage through a connecting bridge, except this jet bridge was empty. It wasn't connected to a plane, leaving viewers completely baffled as to where the ghostly passengers were coming from. The footage is chilling, and hauntingly, the figures appear to be floating, not walking. The pilot posted the video online, and it sparked a debate. Some say this is just an optical illusion. Others believe these figures are ghosts, spirits caught on film. So ghosts or an optical illusion? What do we think?
Ghosts to optical illusions. I mean, it's an optical illusion. There's a lot of people, man. Ghosts? Could be that. Could it be, like I said, an edited video or something? We don't know. Those type of videos, man, it always get to me, though. Those are chilling, bro. Very weird. It's because you don't have an explanation to explain that. You have to dive deep into that one. Anybody who can find out, tell me them below, man. Like I said, Factor Cap.
Scary moments in nature caught on camera.
That's what it said. Don't hold
Avoid possible contamination from the air. Please keep shelter in your residence until further notice. If you are a resident of King County, please stand by for further updates.
What the hell is that? You don't have a dog. Skinwalker?
Smile Dog is a demon that pretends to be a real dog. Legend says that if you see a picture of Smile Dog, he'll come get you while you're sleeping.
And the only way to prevent this is to show the picture to someone else. So send this video to everybody you know. Full story coming tomorrow.
Everyday things you didn't know. The purpose of part 2. 1. The headrest in your vehicle. Although the main reason you have this item in your car is pretty obvious, but there is a hidden use for these that you might need to save your life one day. If you ever get into an accident and can't get out of the car, take the headrest off to break the window with the metal legs. 2. The little hole in your padlock. Many people think this is where the lock could be picked from, but actually, it is only for you to oil up the lock when it starts to get a little rusty and old. 3. The tiny buttons on your jeans. These are known as rivets and they're attached to your jeans at parts that have a high probability of tearing apart from strain or movement. At least, now you will value those tiny buttons and know what's keeping those pairs of jeans in your wardrobe for a longer time.
I've always wondered what those were for.
Let's see if you have thalassophobia. I'm going to show you 5 photos. If you feel too uncomfortable to make it to the 5th photo, then you could have thalassophobia. So let's go. First one. How about this?
I'm still good.
Feeling uneasy yet? Almost there. Last one. If those images made you feel uneasy, then you may have thalassophobia, which is the fear of deep bodies of water. So let me know if you discovered a new phobia down below.
Crazy did you know fact of other senses to tell when something is wet.
Really?
This video will prove
Thalassophobia. We already proved we don't have it.
Fun facts that might scare you.
Oh, I gotta get in on this. The freshwater snail has parasites attached to it, and when you enter the same water as the freshwater snail, the parasites will seek you out, go inside you, and usually that's fatal. There's a crocodile that's eaten over 200 people, and he's still out there in the wild. Eventually, the sun will consume the entire solar system, and there's nothing we can do about it. This is the largest species of hornet in the world. They're from Japan, they are highly aggressive, they have a very painful sting, and somehow they made their way to the United States. The FDA actually allows a certain amount of fruit flies and fruit fly eggs in some of our food.
Fun fact, in 2021, 43 camels were disqualified from the camel beauty contest at the King Abdulaziz Festival in Saudi Arabia. Handlers will inject the camels' faces with Botox, silicone, and other fillers to make the lips longer and droopier and also make the nose bigger, and handlers will also use rubber bands to limit blood flow to certain body parts to enhance their appearance, as well as injecting the camels with hormones to make the hump larger, rounder, and more shapely. 27 contestants were disqualified for body part stretching, and another 16 were disqualified for having received injections. Camel breeding is a multi-million-dollar industry, and the King Abdulaziz Camel Beauty Contest is no joke, with $66 million in prize money up for grabs. The Camel Club, who organizes the event, have taken a hardline approach on handlers who are participating in unnatural camel beautification. In order to detect cheating, each camel is examined both physically and clinically, x-rayed, looked over with a 3D ultrasound device, and finally, they test the camel's blood and conduct a genetic analysis.
I didn't know camel breeding was a $66 million industry. Who knew? What the hell? And they going through the same. They do the same things as us humans do, man. Go through the process of trying to look better. I can't believe even Edwards have to go through that. The more you know. It's like you truly can't escape that, man. Just working on it, like fixing up yourself. The animals have a process. Humans is just like it goes all around. Where you at?
A fisherman just got video proof of the Loch Ness monster for the first time. Just 3 days ago, a local fisherman from New York named Lucas Steele went out fishing on Lake Ontario, but what he would find that day he'll never forget. He was out on the water as he is every Saturday trying to get a big catch. The biggest fish he had ever caught was a 41-pound Chinook salmon, and he was hoping to one day find 148 pounds, which would break the record. He was fishing for 45 minutes without any luck, but then suddenly something huge caught onto his fishing line. This was a monster of a fish. He battled with this beast for an hour before finally pulling it up. This was a 47-pound Chinook salmon. He was overjoyed and was ready to head back, but suddenly he saw something in the distance that resembled a sea serpent with a long neck and moved quickly through the water. Lucas Steele's interest peaked and quickly turned his boat engine on and moved over the area. He didn't see anything for a few minutes, but then he saw something pop up out of the water. This was the Loch Ness monster, and it was massive. It was 15 feet tall and at least 50 feet long. He was astonished and quickly took out his phone to take pictures and videos. People tried to tell him not to publish the video, but as of yesterday, he just released it. To see the footage, save this video, then press share, then more, then click on photos, or comment Nessie in all caps under this video.
Which of these facts is the hardest to believe? Squirrels lose more than half of the nuts that they hide. Our eyes are always the same from birth, but our nose and ears never stop growing. It will take 1 hour to drive to space. The second person you see when you click share on WhatsApp is your soulmate. Humans have jumped further than horses in the Olympics. T-shirts were originally made for unmarried men who didn't know how to sew buttons on collared shirts. On average, a baby can cost new parents up to 750 hours of sleep. What's more? It's true, time gets faster as we age. This graph shows how we perceive time as we get older. According to this, we experience over 70% of our perceived life by the time we turn 21, with everything until age 5 comprising almost 50% of our whole lives. So why doesn't it feel like turning 5 was the halfway point of our life so far? Well, first of all, we don't start forming stable memories until about age 3 to 4, so those years have been pretty much wiped clean. Secondly, as we age, each additional year becomes a smaller and smaller percentage of how many years we've lived so far. So each year that goes by becomes a smaller and smaller sliver of our total lives. For example, at age 50, an entire year is just 2% of your total life. Meanwhile, back when you were 10, 2% of your life was only about 2.5 months. So technically, 2.5 months to a 10-year-old should feel about the same as an entire year would to a 50-year-old. Time doesn't actually move faster as you age. Your brain just has limited storage space. About 2,500 terabytes to be exact, which seems like a lot, but it actually fills up pretty quick considering that we're basically recording a never-ending video into our memories in 16K or whatever resolution reality is. And each year, your brain needs to choose which memories to delete in order to make room for new ones. Meaning, as we age, we slowly forget the most significant memories of our lives, making us feel like we got to where we are today faster than we actually did, while every additional year that goes by feels like a less and less significant portion of our total timeline, causing life to zip by at supersonic speed by the time we hit like 30. Curious to know, what age is your earliest memory from?
Scary moments in me.
Nah, he was spitting. I ain't on I guess how we perceive time as we get older. How it really just goes by. It's like it's more quicker. Cause sometimes I do maybe having to recall, sometimes my earlier memories. It's the earliest memory I could think of. I could really think and go back. See, damn it, it's hard. I'm trying to do it right now. I only have to think. Damn. You was spitting, bro.
Nature caught on camera.
I can't even recall it right now. See, because I think I think the earliest memory is probably like when I was maybe like 4 or 5 when we had like a whole bunch, we had the dog and me, and they had like a whole bunch of puppies. I remember going to that room. That's like the earliest memory I can think of right now. The more he said, I'm about to say, the more he was talking in that video, the more it was kind of clicking in my head. Whew, alright. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I really appreciate that, man. Like I said, I changed the volume for you guys, man. Like I said, so hopefully you guys can hear the video even way clearer now. I'm cutting back on my talking, as you guys can see the past couple of videos. I'm trying to we're trying to grow this community to something big. I know we can, so thank you guys for sticking with me and supporting the channel. Some changes are coming, man. Like I said, I might come in soon. You guys can catch you in the next video. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, we break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook, man. Anything weird, usual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank you guys who's been tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that like button, hitting that post notification bell. You guys are growing a community together. I appreciate the support. Let's do what we do best. Let's seek the truth.
This woman lured a man into a treehouse, seduced him, and then stabbed him to present his dead body to her boyfriend as a gift. Julie Enright, pictured here, killed Brandon Chickless, who was a previous boyfriend of hers, because she wanted to present his body as some sort of strange gift to her boyfriend at the time. Brandon was stabbed over 10 times, and Julia's boyfriend at the time also had a hand in helping dispose of his body. There were many things that Julia said caused this to happen, like her fascination with Marilyn Manson and the fact that she was a dominatrix. There were also entries in a journal that she had where she was admitting to having a need or a want to kill another person. Julia worked as a phlebotomist, so she was not squeamish around blood, as she said in court. She was found guilty of his murder and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Watch you get to a relationship.
Have you heard about this foreign streaming service that people are claiming is like the darkest? I don't know about you, but the scariest TV shows and movies are almost always foreign. And I recently found this Nordic streaming service that was not available in the US. But now it is, and it has some true crime stories that have been like keeping me up at night. Like the story of Lisa Holm, who was a teenager in Sweden working at a cafe when she never made it home one night. She had just texted her father that she was heading home on her moped, but when she never showed up that night, he actually drove to her work and found that her moped was still in the parking lot with the keys in the ignition. And no one inside had seen what happened to her between the entrance to the cafe and her moped. And then when the police are called, they start finding some of her belongings, leading them like breadcrumbs to this shed up here. And that's where they ultimately find Lisa's body crammed into a locker. And this is the crazy part, but beforehand, there was a guy in the search party looking for Lisa who was telling volunteers beforehand to not look in this specific shed. So the police think that there's something weird with this guy, so they bring him in for questioning, and during the investigation, they find thousands of images and videos on his computer of like extreme violence against women. His name was Nergis Belavicius, and he was eventually convicted of Lisa's murder. And this was actually an episode in Crime Scene Sweden, which is a show about murders that just wrecked the country. There's tons of other shows I haven't heard of that I'm actually really digging, so I'm going to include a link in my bio for you to check it out, and let me know.
This woman murdered her husband to get used.
I'm going to check that out.
Samantha Walford met her partner Ernie at a tattoo parlor, and the pair quickly began dating. Samantha was already a mother of two and had twins from a failed high school relationship. Ernie took on a father role for these twins, and 3 years later the pair had another set of twins. Shortly after they had another child, making them a family of 7. Ernie was working a lot to provide for the family, and Samantha was trying to make it on YouTube. Her attempt at a YouTube career was putting a strain on the relationship, and she was neglecting her children. The pair reportedly began arguing a lot. On the 20th of February 2015, police were called to their home. Samantha claimed that 3 men had broken in and kidnapped her husband. However, inconsistencies started appearing in her story. During an interrogation, she claimed that she couldn't call 911 because she was tied up. She did, however, manage to call her mum. Police asked, "How did you dial your mother with your face?" She eventually admitted to knowing the kidnappers, but said she had nothing to do with this. Investigators ended up uncovering texts between Samantha and the kidnappers. Samantha had actually orchestrated the whole thing. She had intentionally left the front door open to enable the kidnappers to get in the house. They then took Ernie to the woods and shot him in the head. Police concluded that Samantha did this to get fame and attention. 2 of the men got 50-year sentences, 1 got 93 years, and Samantha got 99 years.
Things people do, man, for this YouTube fame. It ain't easy, man, trying to build up a channel, build momentum, but she took it to a completely different level. I can't believe, man, she would do that to her own family, bro. Just to get that type of fame and attention, it ain't worth it. Wow, we gotta watch out for people like this in the world.
Real Disney ghost stories sent in by you guys. Part 1. These Disneyland cast members wish to remain anonymous, but here are some stories about the little girl who haunts California Adventure.
When I worked in Disney California Adventure, we would sometimes see a little girl and she would show up in the bakery tour alone. And usually by the time we figured out she was alone, she's gone. We asked another cast in the bakery and they said she comes by every now and then and wanders all the way to Little Mermaid. Before Disney California Adventure was built, it was a parking lot and she was hit by a tram. And since then, her ghost has haunted the area. It's funny because there's a pattern here. Another cast member wrote to me about this little girl as well in Disney California Adventure. First of all, he says that every land has some sort of ghost. Like every little land in Disneyland has something that haunts it, which is crazy. The ghost I experienced the most and will stay with me is the little girl in the Little Mermaid building. She also likes to walk around on the Grizzly Peak side. She even pulled my keys out of my pocket because I wouldn't respond to her while I was cleaning a restroom and she was pounding a stall door. What? That is so scary. Here's another ghost story about the same girl. Apparently her name is Jennifer. I work at the restaurant on Buena Vista Street in California Adventure. Jennifer is very well known by cast members. She likes to lock the women's restroom doors. She turns candlesticks on the walls upstairs. I've heard a faint scream in the hallway on the second floor. She's pulled my hair a couple times, and she has shown herself to our custodial at 3 a.m. Have you ever had an encounter with this little girl spirit at Disney California Adventure? Let me know in the comments, and keep sending me more Disney ghost stories.
Believe that? That's fact or cap? Those stories,
Have you heard that this man who was missing since 2021 was just found alive? On the 2nd of October 2021, 26-year-old Harley McCourt vanished from his home in Arkansas. For 2 agonizing years, his family have scoured the country trying to find him, but have had no luck. 18 months later, however, he's now been found. He was located on a beach in Texas, miles away from his Arkansas home. Harley was last seen in his bedroom by his dad on the morning of the 2nd of October. When his dad couldn't find him a couple of hours later, he reported him missing. He'd been severely depressed and distant for the months prior to him going missing. He also had social anxiety, so it was very odd of him to leave his home. His phone, medication, and other belongings were all still at home, and all searches led to dead ends. Then, in a dramatic turn of events, almost 2 years after he disappeared, Harley was discovered. Police in Texas stopped a man for walking against the traffic. Using information they found in his backpack, they identified him and notified his family. His mum and sister raced to see him when he was found, and as soon as they were reunited, they all embraced. His disappearance is still under investigation, and Harley states that his memory of what happened is fuzzy. He's been receiving mental health treatment in a hospital and is making progress.
Do you guys even imagine that, man? Like, you looking for your family member for like 2 years, he just drops off the grid, just disappears. You think the worst happens, and you miraculously found him. And it's a small detail just because he was against the traffic, man. Like, imagine if that never would have happened, they might have never found him again. It's like those little details, man, that something can happen in the universe you just can't explain. Some things are meant to be. You can't remember what happened, the fuzzy details. That's what I'm focusing on.
These people might be freed soon in 2023. Number 1, we have Rachel Shove. In 2012, 16-year-old Rachel, along with her friend Sheila Eddy, decided they no longer want to be friends with another girl named Skylar Neese. However, instead of just communicating and talking to Skylar about their thoughts, they decided to lure her out of her house in the early hours of July 6, 2012. Skylar thought nothing of it and believed that she was simply hanging out with 2 of her best friends. The 2 took her to some woods 30 miles away where they would stab her to death. What's more disturbing is that Rachel and Sheila even talked to Skylar's parents and helped them during the search days after the killing. It would be 6 months later when Rachel finally confessed to the horrible deed they had committed. Her parole hearing has been delayed to May 9, 2023, and currently there are 31,000 people who signed a petition on change.org to deny her parole.
You said yourself, Your Honor, this is first-degree murder. She should not give any leniency, and she can take her apologies and everything else and sit on it because that's about what they're worth.
You stood there for over a year, comforting, being with us, telling us you knew nothing. When the police and everybody was coming close, then you decided to put us.
Right in your face.
Number 2, we have Paul Danier, dubbed the Frankston serial killer because he brutally attacked and slit the throats of 3 young women in Melbourne, 1993. He has had a history of breaking into neighbors' apartments, cutting up their furniture, clothing, and even writing blood on their walls. Ironically, in prison, Danier began to identify as the very thing he despised, a woman. He was given 3 life sentences, but because of a technicality during his sentencing, he's eligible for parole after 30 years, which basically means sometime this year. Date of the parole hearing is still unknown.
Of a technicality? Gotta do better, man. This system.
This woman murdered her husband to get YouTube subscribers. Samantha Walford met her partner Ernie at a tattoo parlor and the pair quickly began dating. Samantha was already a mother of 2 and had twins from a failed high school relationship. Ernie took on a father role for these twins, and 3 years later the pair had another set of twins. Shortly after they had another child, making them a family of 7. Ernie was working a lot to provide for the family, and Samantha was trying to make it on YouTube. Her attempt at a YouTube career was putting a strain on the relationship, and she was neglecting her children. The pair reportedly began arguing a lot. On the 20th of February 2015, police were called to their home. Samantha claimed that 3 men had broken in and kidnapped her husband. However, inconsistencies started appearing in her story. During an interrogation, she claimed that she couldn't call 911 because she was tied up. She did, however, manage to call her mum. Police asked, "How did you dial your mother with your face?" She eventually admitted to knowing the kidnappers, but said she had nothing to do with this. Investigators ended up uncovering texts between Samantha and the kidnappers. Samantha had actually orchestrated the whole thing. She had intentionally left the front door open to enable the kidnappers to get in the house. They then took Ernie to the woods and shot him in the head. Police concluded that Samantha did this to get fame and attention. 2 of the men got 50-year sentences, 1 got 93 years, and Samantha got 99 years.
Got the opposite result. Be careful.
Did you know that on the morning of September 11th, when United 93 took off, it was missing its 5th hijacker, who was later believed to be Mohammed Al-Qatani, who tried to enter the country on August 4th, 2001 at the Orlando International Airport. Jose Melendez-Perez was his immigration officer who questioned him for over 90 minutes. During that time, Jose said that Al-Qatani could provide him no information on where he was staying, couldn't give a reason for his travel in the United States, and had no return flight home. His irate attitude while being questioned by Jose also set off red flags, and Jose began to believe that he'd been trained by a military. After those 90 minutes, Al-Qatani was refused entry to the United States on a technicality. As he boarded his flight back to Dubai, he turned around to officials and said, "I'll be back," in perfect English after telling him he only knew how to speak Arabic, and working with a translator all through his interrogation. And during his interrogation, he would let it slip that someone was waiting for him upstairs at the MCO airport, but then changed his story and said no, they weren't. Later credit card records would show that Mohammed Atta, the lead terrorist of the 9/11 attacks, was at the MCO airport that day. We've gone through this and so much more over on Deep Diving Devalio's.
Little thing, man, to make up the story. He was playing him the whole time. Spoke perfect English saying, "I'll be back." Out of a damn movie. That's me, edit, right?
So a lot of people know the movie, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Most people know him as like he's this slasher with a chainsaw that he like wears people's faces, and you know he's just like his family is helping him like commit all these murders, and they're trying to keep it hush because he's crazy, and it's like, oh, he's just our sweet little boy, he's just not all the way there. And that's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's what most people know him as, right? But what most people don't know is that it is actually based off of a real story. So there's this guy named Ed Gein, right? Ed Gein was born in Wisconsin, and he grew up and he was super isolated, like always by himself. People described him as like a weird dude. Like he was very, always like by himself, like never really in a crowd or had any friends. He was always like a recluse. Ed Gein started grave robbing and like digging up dead bodies, and he would use their skin for like stuff around the house. He'd use their bones as like utensils, and he has been confirmed to have killed at least 2 people, but they think it's upwards of 10. But yeah, so he was arrested, and the scariest part about it though is that he
they can finish it. Chainsaw Massacre?
Now that I've seen it,
True story?
I can't unsee it. So the other day, a Reddit user posted this photo to Reddit. It's of his apartment at night. He had been complaining of hearing rustling noises in his apartment over the last couple nights. Many users thought they could kind of see something in this area of his kitchen. but I couldn't, so I looked at the brightened version. This is the photo brightened. And I know what you're gonna say, yes, it does look like Keanu Reeves, but look at how tall he is compared to the fridge. But it gets so much worse. This is a video he took of his apartment at night where you can see something happen to the light in the kitchen. But let's look at the brightened version.
What? See movement there.
Yes, it's terrifying, but is it a ghost?
Is it a ghost? Fact or cap? I doesn't know what to do.
Can't fucking open the damn door.
Where's she running from? See a car going back and forth. Somebody was chasing her? She made it home, thankfully. I don't know what would have happened.
Horror movies 99% of you can't finish, part 1. Up first is the Poughkeepsie tapes. The Poughkeepsie tapes is about a serial killer in Poughkeepsie, New York. And he records tapes of torturing and killing his victims. And in this movie, we are shown those tapes, intertwined with interviews of police officers, family members of victims, and even a victim herself to get a perspective of the killer and his crimes. Most of the footage in this movie is downright creepy and disturbing, and most people can't handle it. The footage also includes the murder of a young child and the torture of several victims. So let me know if you can finish this movie, because 99% of people can't.
Okay, I gotta finish the Poughkeepsie tapes. I'm not even gonna try.
How many of you actually knew that Jeffrey Dahmer was murdered in prison alongside another convicted murderer? Honestly, I did not know. Let's talk about these two folks. So this was salesman Jesse Anderson, who was born in Illinois but then eventually would move to Wisconsin. Later down the road, Jesse would eventually marry Barbara, and they had 3 children together. Well, apparently by 1992, the marriage wasn't going so well. Jesse thought the marriage was failing, so he wanted to give it one more shot, right? On the night of April 21st, 1992, he took his wife out to go see a movie, and then afterwards they went to go have dinner, and at that point he planned to try to reconcile their marriage. Apparently it didn't go well. After they left the TGI Fridays that they were eating at in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, they would walk to their car, and not too soon afterward, police were called because there were 2 people on the ground bleeding. It was Jesse Anderson and his wife, Barbara. They had both apparently been stabbed. Barbara immediately went into a coma and would eventually die a couple days later, but Jesse, who had 4 stab wounds to his chest, would survive. Most of his stab wounds were superficial. Barbara was stabbed 21 times in the face. Jesse said that the assailants were 2 black men. He said he managed to knock off one of their hats, a Los Angeles Clippers hat. So police were looking for 2 black men who have done this. Well, in their investigation, it turns out that it wasn't 2 black men. It was Jesse Anderson who stabbed his wife multiple times in the face. By using forensic smarts and also witness testimony, that's how they came to that conclusion. Jesse had bought the hat from this man that same day. Jesse was convicted and sentenced to 60 years to life. He would eventually end up in the same prison as Jeffrey Dahmer. And also, Christopher Scarver. Christopher was working in Milwaukee at a conservation corps job group. He was promised a full-time position at this job by a man who eventually that man would be terminated from the company. Therefore, Scarver's promotion to full-time never got to happen. So on June 1st, 1990, he went to his place of work and he confronted the person who replaced the man who promised him a full-time job. That man was named Steve Loman, and he was demanding money from him. And he was pointing a gun at Steve Loman. He was drunk, he was crazy. When Steve only gave him a few bucks, he shot him directly in the forehead, killing him instantly, and then shot him 2 more times after he was dead. Another person there would end up giving him a $3,000 check if he let them live. He found out that Jeffrey Dahmer was specifically targeting black young men. He also found out that Jesse Anderson tried to frame 2 black men for a murder he committed. So, while on cleaning duty in a locker room at the prison, he beat both men to death with a metal bar. He's now serving 3 life sentences without parole.
Damn. One act doesn't make up for another, but he just took him out. He took out Jeffrey Dahmer and the other guy. They both were just for targeting black men. But, you know, 2 wrongs don't make a right, but he just freaking ended it. Goes to show you, man, how these stories, they never end well. When you're in a situation like that, man, it's best to just avoid it. Like I said, he was drunk or something. That drunken day, something led to him being gone for the rest of his life. That's why I try to stay away from that, man. Damn. YouTube, that's it, man, for this video for you guys today. If you guys stay with me to the end, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate that, man. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, hit that post notification bell, as you guys can see my reaction style, man. I changed the order for you guys. You guys said it's better. I'm cutting down on me pausing and talking all the time because you guys just want the video to play through and I save it for after. So tell me how you guys doing. You guys enjoying the changes? Like I said, man, mine coming soon. You guys gonna catch it in the next one, man. Guys, we've been being daily every single day of April, man. So guys, hopefully you guys appreciate the effort I'm putting in, man. May coming up, gonna go even stronger, gonna go even harder. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, seekers? Welcome back to the channel, man. Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new here, if you guys don't know what we do, we break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, man, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook reels, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank the seekers, man, who's been tapping in with us, man, subbing up to the channel. I really appreciate that, man. That's how we grow the seekers, man. But you guys liking the video, subscribing, and hitting that post notification bell, we can grow our community together. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Let's seek the truth.
Suffered a botched circumcision and was raised as a girl for 13 years. In 1965, David Reimer was born a boy along with his brother in Winnipeg, Canada. But at 8 months, he suffered a botched circumcision and unfortunately, his genitals were accidentally burnt off. While his twin brother was fine, David's damage could not be fixed. So David's parents consulted with Dr. John Money and he suggested that David undergo sex reassignment surgery and be given hormones and instead be raised as a girl. His parents took the advice and changed David's birth name from Bruce to Brenda. Dr. Money believed that David could be easily raised as a girl despite being born as a biological male. The doctor even told David's parents to never tell him or his twin brother what happened to him as a baby. As the twins got older, Dr. Money continued to see them for annual checkups, but it's been said that during these appointments, he would make them rehearse sexual acts as he photographed them. Throughout David's childhood, he rejected anything feminine and consistently showed masculine traits. By the time he reached 13 years old, he was suicidal and his mom realized that he wasn't happy being a girl. Soon after, David's father finally told him the truth and immediately he changed his name from Brenda to David. David then began taking testosterone and going through various operations to rebuild his genitals. But he continued to suffer from psychological trauma throughout his life due to Dr. Money's experiment, and not long after, his twin brother passed away. And sadly, at the age of 38, David committed suicide. A lot of people blame Dr. Money for David's death, but his defense is that it was the right thing to do at the time.
When I think of theme park rides...
Really, seekers? That was the right thing to do at the time? I don't think so, man. That whole situation is just crazy and insane, bro. imagine that happening to you. You didn't realize that till later in your life. Not too many words on that, case seekers.
It's likely to kill someone, I don't think about the miniature railway. Unfortunately, that's exactly what happened at Gulliver's Land in Milton Keynes. Hugh Doe was 56 and from Newport Pagnell in Bucks. He was an engineer and he was working at Gulliver's Land on May the 10th, 2006. He had been doing some maintenance on the miniature railway train at the theme park, and after the work was completed, it's reported that he stood up after giving the driver the all clear to move the train on. Tragically, he was killed instantly when the train went into a tunnel. Hideously, it's reported that he suffered a huge amount of trauma to his skull and brain before being dragged through the 10-foot-long tunnel. When a health and safety spokeswoman was asked for comment, she stated that he had been decapitated. She stated, "There was probably 2.5 to 3 inches between the top of the carriage and the tunnel." The park was closed to members of the public the day after the incident as a mark of respect for the victim. There was an inquest into Hugh Doe's death. Eventually it was announced that Hugh's death was labelled as misadventure.
You think people act on the bike?
Misadventure? The thing I'm most surprised to see is that the freaking that theme park they shut down for a day, man. Cause you know usually, man, you be hearing the freaking stories about what happens at these theme parks and they just go on just like it's just a regular day, man. Cause you know all this corporation cares about is the money, so that's actually really surprising to me that they actually closed down for a day. Man, the Habitum Seekers? The hell? And they labeled it as misadventure. I don't think that's something you should label it like that. Anyway, let's continue, Seekers.
Your shit. After you literally cut up fucking flesh and bones and eyeballs and brains, like who the fuck wants to eat shit like that? You never know. You never know.
You never know.
So prison really was not any type of difference for you. When I came on the trial and told my story about how I was kidnapped and how I attacked you and you claimed that I tried to kill you, it was
You did try to kill me with a knife.
It was self-defense. You were never going to let me go.
Blood-curdling facts that you...
What the... He went to her face to face. She was known for cooking people and stuff like that. And when he tried to defend himself, she said, "You try to take me out." I'm like, that's a natural response, man. To anybody would do that. You trying to take them out, obviously they're gonna try to protect and defend themselves, Seekers, man. What be going through people's minds? Like I said, when they be doing these acts, they just think that they can just get away with anything, man. It truly is like they don't have a grasp on reality. Seekers, what do you guys think about that case?
You wish you never knew. Part 13. Hundreds of thousands of bodies have either been lost or buried at sea, so every time you swim in the ocean, you're basically bathing in a graveyard. Chainsaws were originally invented for childbirth. Female mummies in ancient Egypt were always decomposed more than the male ones, and this is because the male bodies were embalmed a lot sooner while the female bodies were kept at the family home until they started to decompose a little bit. And this was to prevent people from having sex with the dead female bodies. Vlad the Impaler was called this because he would place his enemies ass first on pointed poles that would slowly skewer them to death. Fatal familial insomnia is a disease where a person literally cannot go to sleep no matter what they take or what they do. The symptoms get progressively worse until they die of exhaustion. And for the last one, you might want to look up who invented blow-up dolls.
These are the people that left almost 200 bodies in their funeral home to rot for over 4 years. They were stealing people's money, not actually cremating their loved ones, and let me just show you their Facebook post and what they were actually doing with this money. Here they are, August 10th, 2021, on a family vacation in New York City at the Empire State Building. In October of 2021, it looks like they were actually trying to buy his grandparents' old house. And they say, "We had a cash offer ready to go. Wonder where all that cash came from." Here's November 9th, 2021. Looks like they're in South Beach, Miami now, which is not cheap. Staying at a hotel right on the beach. And here they are just 1 month later in December of 2021, bragging about their nice hotel in San Francisco. And then in February of 2022, another vacation, this time to Vegas. Him and his wife and his family all going on these vacations. Here's a post from December 2021 talking about how he's so happy with where his businesses are at, the right people in the right place doing the right thing at the right time. Yeah, you were never doing the right thing.
You're just seekers, man. People like that just like have no morals, man. Like, you're supposed to be taking care of those freaking bodies, and y'all just took the money and ran and just went on lavish vacations, and then you're acting like you earned their money, talking about people being in the right place at the right time. No, you cheated and stole that freaking money from the families. Like, the people understand like how that affects them, and you just left all those freaking people in the coffers, man. Like, what happened to their freaking bodies, bro? Man, seekers, man. People, when they be doing these things, I don't think they understand like how much it'll affect another person. Truly, man. Edit. Call, like I said, I said.
He says that having his own fingers amputated has made him feel more complete. Yet he says he's only 46% of the way to becoming an alien. And what he has planned next is disturbing. This man hails from Montpellier, France, and his name is Anthony Lafredo. Anthony calls himself the Black Alien. He began his transformation at the age of 27, and in order to look less and less like a human, he's already had tattoos all over his body, as well as numerous cosmetic surgeries such as removing his tongue, nose, ears, and 2 fingers. He's also had his teeth dyed purple, and the whites of his eyes black. He even had silicone implants implanted. To justify all this, he explains, first you have to know what you want, then you have to have the courage to say it, and finally you have to have the energy to do it. According to some sources, his next steps are to have his legs amputated and to become very thin. So we wonder what he'll look like when he's reached 100% of his transformation. And more importantly, we wonder why nobody's stopping him because he's clearly hurting himself. But he says, I'm lucky enough to live the life I want, to do what I want physically. It's absolute freedom. There's no one to stop me. Except that he still complains when he gets kicked out of public places like certain restaurants, which don't hesitate to ask him to leave.
Now the rarest... He wants to become an alien, seekers, and all the videos we covered together, this is my first time I heard something like that, man. And he's going through the process, man. He's got all those tattoos. Like I said, the first time when I saw him, it looked like something had just happened to him, like he was in an incident or something. But to hear that he was doing it to himself, man, because he wanted to become an alien, bro, and he wants to get this full form, like he said, he wants to get thinner, man. Seekers, we're gonna have to check out that case, man. If you guys can check it out, find some more details, tell me down below, bro. We gotta find him, man. That human alien, bro. The black alien, that's what they call him.
This lip type is a Cupid's bow lip, where the middle of the upper lip dips down and there are 2 distinct peaks on either side. You can also see it more clearly here. It's difficult to quantify as there haven't been any high quality studies, but it's thought that less than 5% of people have this lip shape.
Interesting.
Everyone laughed at him when he married her, but 2 years later, they regretted it. The story begins with this guy named Sean, who met Amelia and instantly fell in love. But when he would tell his friends about her, they would just laugh. But Sean knew he loved Amelia and was going to propose to her. Amelia had always been bullied because of her weight, but Sean loved her no matter what. When they went out in public, they would get dirty looks. People would laugh at them in the streets. But Sean did not care and decided to marry her. 2 years down the line, Amelia had a secret that Sean did not know about. Sean was so in love with Amelia, he decided to marry her regardless of people laughing at her. They got married on the beach and looked very happy. But 2 years down the line, Amelia had a deep secret. Sean started to notice that something was off. The couple looked happy, but Amelia was keeping something from Sean. Amelia had been distant for many months, and one day Sean decided to ask Amelia what was wrong. Amelia finally opened up and said that she had been cheating on Sean. Immediately when Sean heard this, he was shocked. He was so angry and felt betrayed.
In Texas, a 17-year-old named Isaac Gonzalez was arrested after cutting his ankle monitor off and taunting police on social media. Gonzalez, a murder suspect, who fired around 100 bullets into a residence, resulting in the unintended killing of an innocent woman named Novita Brazil and the injury of another person. He is now facing charges of murder and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Additionally, an unnamed 15-year-old boy is facing a murder charge in connection to the incident. The shooting took place when Gonzalez and the 15-year-old mistakenly targeted the wrong house, believing it to belong to a rival gang. This led to the death of Novita Brazil, a 25-year-old woman who was studying at her home. Following the shooting, the suspects engaged in a high-speed chase with the police and discarded several firearms believed to have been used in the incident. They were initially apprehended, but were able to post bail. During their arrests, both suspects displayed a shocking disregard for law enforcement and the seriousness of their actions.
You could tell, man, he's like he was throwing up signs when he was getting taken away. People need to have more regard, man, for freaking human life, bro. And they did it at the wrong house as well. He was just an innocent bystander, bro. Man. Bone-chilling story seekers, bro. Gotta be more careful out here, man. You can never know what'll happen. Get it.
This pedophile mom in Ohio committed one of the most horrific crimes I've ever read about. I'm going to add a trigger warning in here right now. This is a very, very disturbing story, so viewer discretion is advised. So this is Ashley Jessup from Ohio. And in 2012, she was found guilty of rape and sentenced to life in prison. But who did Ashley assault? Well, it was her own 10-month-old baby. At the time of this crime, Ashley was dating 24-year-old Jordan Russell. The two seemed to be very in love, and they frequently exchanged explicit materials over email and text message, of themselves, obviously. But then in August of 2011, Jordan asked Ashley to do something shocking. He asked her to perform explicit acts on her own 10-month-old baby son. And obviously he wanted her to film it and send it to him so he could keep these videos and images. And for some shocking reason, Ashley actually obliged. And she performed graphic and gruesome acts on her own son. So later that month, Jordan had actually broken up with Ashley and he already had a new girlfriend. And this new girlfriend of Jordan's was going through his computer when she discovered these extremely disturbing images and contacted the police. So obviously when the details of this case were made public, everybody was absolutely shocked. And the judge in this case actually stated that in his 30-year career, this was one of the most bizarre and disturbing cases he had ever had to cover. So Ashley was eventually convicted of a litany of charges, including assault, rape on a minor, everything like that. And she's still in prison to this day, serving out that life sentence. Now, this is a really, really disturbing story, and I really do think that she should be in prison for a very, very long time.
The scene of one of the
Seekers. Like I said, judge about 30 years, never seen something freaking that weird and bizarre. Neither have I, not until today, man. It's like these people, when they freaking do these acts, like, they truly don't think about the freaking consequences, man. And they hit that the freaking night that and her boyfriend freaking requested it. I feel like something should happen to him as well, because he freaking requested it. He wanted to see something like that. So something's obviously off on his freaking head as well. So I feel like something should happen to him. True was like, no. Dude, that's getting on something that young as well? What the heebie-jeebies, bro. Damn.
The most notorious crimes of the 1990s is for sale in Boulder, Colorado. The house where John Benet Ramsey lived and died has hit the market for $6.25 million. I've done my best to match up the listing photos with the crime scene photos, so we're going to take a walk through and see what's changed and what remains the same. But first, let's talk about that price. A recent study done by Real Estate Witch tells us that a full 37% of people would consider it a deal breaker if the home that they were buying was the scene of a violent crime. So let's take a look through and see if you think they changed enough to warrant that high price. Here's what it looked like in '96 on the outside. Since 1998, they installed privacy gates and they actually changed the address of the house. Here's what the house looks like today inside. In this crime scene photo of the dining room, take a look at the French doors. They just painted them black and they left the same hardware. Much of the first floor looks exactly the same as it used to, even down to the curtain rods in this family room. New owners have put in a brand new kitchen. You can see the recognizable black and white tile flooring is gone, but they've kept this walk-in refrigerator and added a new stainless steel panel to the front. In the butler's pantry, the black and white tiling is still there. At first glance, the bathrooms in this house might appear updated. When you look a little closer at these old crime scene photos, you'll see they've added a new sink and top, but this vanity and the drawer pulls are exactly the same. And in some of the bathrooms, the distinctive black tile around the tub is still there. In the primary suite, we see that they replaced the old blue carpeting for some fresh beige carpeting, but not much else has changed. Even the wall sconces are the same. Downstairs in the basement, where many think the crime occurred, it's been completely renovated. In this room, the new owners put in a wine cellar. While the rest of the basement used to be a series of storage rooms, it's now one big open entertaining space. Obviously, a lot of this price comes down to the stunning location, but this house was sold in 1998 for only $650,000, and it has been on and off the market at least 6 times since then, most recently with a huge price increase. This place is already priced way higher than any homes around it. So what do you guys think? Would you live here?
This woman was shot and killed by a real-life killer clown. Marlene Warren opened her door to see a clown holding flowers and balloons. As the 40-year-old woman reached out to take the gift, the clown pulled out a shooting her in front of her son. Her son said this was a full clown costume, makeup, a red nose, wig, and the clown calmly walked away and drove off in a white Chrysler. And Marlene Warren sadly passed away in the hospital a short time later. This happened in 1990 in Palm Beach, Florida, but it sadly remained unsolved for 27 years. And the killer was sentenced this year in 2023. Her husband Michael looked suspicious because he was not home at the time. But because of the elaborate disguise, her son was unable to make a helpful police sketch. The same year of the murder, a coworker of Marlene's husband tipped off police that his wife had been having an affair. His wife left him, and then Michael, now being widowed, married her in 2002. And in 2017, Sheila King Warren was arrested for the murder of Marlene Warren. So what was the most damning evidence, and why would solving this take 27 years? Testimony from a local shop placed Sheila buying the costume 2 days before the incident. Also, this was May, so I don't know why she picked a clown costume. Here's another photo of her, and what I'm assuming is a different clown costume. Maybe this lady just had a thing for clowns. A white Chrysler was located a few days after Marlene's passing, and inside they found a long brown hair and orange fibers. Similar orange fibers were found in Sheila's home, and they were likely from the clown wig. This was in 1990, and DNA testing was in its infancy. The cold case was reopened, and the brown hair was tested to be Sheila's, Michael's new wife. She was arrested in 2017, but wasn't sentenced until 2023. Sheila was sentenced to just 12 years for the murder as part of a plea deal. And with time served, she's actually going to get out sometime relatively soon. Michael was not charged, even though I'm sure he knew that his second wife killed his first one. In a recent interview with Michael and Marlene's son, he said that he's just glad to have closure. But what do you guys think? How long should she have gotten for the murder of Marlene Warren?
Seekers, man, yeah, how long should she have gotten? She just got 12 years, bro. And the case went unsolved for 29 years. You would think she would get a harsher sentence. And Ed, the freaking husband, I'm pretty, like she said, she's pretty sure that he knew what happened. She just dressed in a freaking full clown costume and just decided to end it all, man. What the hell? Of all the things, why was she obsessed with clowns? Out of all the things she could have worn, she chose a clown. That's what's really pinging off in my freaking head, bro. That it. Gotta call it like I see it.
This is the Trey Cesler case, the YouTuber who murdered his entire family. This is Trey Cesler, and he was known as Mr. Anime on YouTube. Back in the early days of YouTube, Trey was actually a super popular creator on the platform. And he's also been credited to kickstart the anime community all on YouTube. In his videos, he would review anime, video games, and stuff like that. And he got a couple 100,000 followers. But as time went on, people started to realize something wasn't right. He started to make a lot of videos with weapons in them, like guns, and he also posted images and talked about how he had killed animals. He used real weapons in some of his videos, and he even went to random buildings at night, and just shot at them for no reason at all. But in 2012, Trey's life would take a disturbing turn. In February of that year, he posted on his channel saying that he was going to reward himself and take a break. But on March 13th, 2012, he said he found a new job, which was 100% going to prevent him from posting on YouTube in the future. And on March 20th, 2012, Trey decided he was going to kill people. And he decided to start out by killing his family. On that day, he went to his family's home and lured his mom into the garage. And he then shot her in the chest at point-blank range, killing her. He then went back into the house and shot his brother dead in the head. Trey's father, who was sleeping, woke up from all the gunshots and walked over to investigate. And Trey then shot him in the chest, just like he did to his mom. And to even make it more sinister, after doing this and killing his entire family, he walked around the house killing all of the family's pets. He then took ammunition and weapons and started walking towards the high school at the end of the street. And we could all assume what his climactic plan was. Trey later claimed that he wanted to kill at least 70 students at the school so that he could be the deadliest mass killer in United States history. And he said he killed his family first because he didn't want them to see what he was about to do, and said that he was completely inspired by the Columbine killers. But thankfully, right before Trey was about to commit the shooting at the school, he backed down and was quickly arrested afterwards. Also, after the shootings, it was discovered that he had written a lot of stuff all over the doors and walls, and this was evidence that he had been disturbed for quite a long time. This is just an insane case, and I can't believe stuff like this happens so consistently in our world.
911, where's your emergency?
My house.
Okay, what's the emergency?
I just killed my mom and my sister.
You just killed your mother and your sister? How did you do that?
I shot him with a .22 revolver.
Are you sure they're dead?
Yes.
Okay, I want you to stay on the phone with me, okay? Are you alright?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Where's the gun?
It's on the kitchen counter.
Is there any reason that you were so angry at your mother and your sister?
I don't know. I wasn't, it's weird, I wasn't even really angry with them. It just kind of happened. I've been kind of planning on killing for a while now.
The two of them, or just anybody?
Pretty much anybody.
Why?
I don't know. I don't really like people's kind of attitude.
Right.
I think they're very, like, you know, emotional, I don't know, verbally rude to each other and stuff like that.
Right.
I don't know.
It's okay.
It's just my family, I don't know, they're just kind of really, I guess this is really selfish to say, but to me, I felt like they were just suffocating me in a way. I don't know. I think, obviously, you know, I'm pretty, I guess, evil, but, whatever.
Okay. No, don't be sorry. I'm listening. Okay, you have my undivided attention.
This is really gonna mess me up for this, you know, in the future. See my sister, I told my sister that my mom needed her.
Mm-hmm.
She was in her room, and she came out of her room, and I shot her, rolled down the stairs, and I shot her again, and I went down and I shot my mom about maybe 3 or 4 times. But I'll never forget that my sister, she came down the stairs and she was screaming, and I was telling her that I'm sorry, but to just hold Bill, that, you know, I was just gonna make it go away, you know, but she just kept on freaking me out. But finally she fell down and I shot her in the head about probably 3 times.
So they're both downstairs?
Yes.
Okay, where are you?
In the kitchen.
Okay. You're not sitting by the gun, are you?
No, it's about like 10 or 15 feet away from me.
All right. Where's your dad?
He's out of town.
Do you know where he is? Out of town?
Washington, D.C. And for, I guess, future reference, I don't really want to see any of my family members, you know, like if visiting or whatever. I don't know how it works or anything, but I just don't want any type of visitors.
This girl was kept in a box.
To hear that she just said it's okay and I have your undivided attention. I know it was her, I guess it was her job, I guess, to keep him on the phone, just keep his focus, but damn, like I said, I can never do that type of job because you have to hear things like that every day, boy. You just have to be calm. You have to try to freaking keep them on the phone, even like when you hear them do those horrific acts, man. Small man, sister, bro. R.I.P. to them. Damn, bro. And he was just talking so calmly too. Like I said, I never understood that aspect. I don't know how people do it. Seekers, I just don't.
Box and used as a sex slave for 7 years. 20-year-old Colleen Stan is an American woman who was kidnapped and held as a sex slave by Cameron and Janice Hooker in their California home for over 7 years between 1977 and 1984. Her case has received international fame and has been a subject of many books, films, and television series. On May 19, 1977, Colleen Stan was hitchhiking from her home in Eugene, Oregon, to a friend's home in Northern California where she was heading to a birthday party. Cameron Hooker kidnapped 20-year-old Colleen after picking her up. Colleen said she was a very experienced hitchhiker and had allowed 2 rides to go past her before accepting the ride with Cameron Hooker. Colleen said she felt confident climbing into the blue van because Hooker's wife Janice and their baby were in the car. They then stopped at a gas station along the way and Colleen went to use the restroom. And she said a voice told her to run out and jump out the window and never look back, but she never did, which she definitely regrets. When they left, they got on the highway and Cameron Hooker pulled over on the side of the road and put a knife to Colleen's throat, all the way until they got to an isolated area. She was then locked in a wooden box that was designed to prevent light, sound, and fresh air entering. After this, Colleen was tortured and kept locked in the box for 23 hours a day, until she was given a contract and forced to sign herself into slavery for life in January 1978. Her kidnapper also said that they were being watched by a powerful organization called the Company, and if she ever tried to escape, they would torture her and harm her family. Colleen then became a slave and her new name was Kay, and she was forced to call Cameron master. Cameron then started raping Colleen, and it was mostly consisting of oral rape. Cameron reportedly didn't want to have normal sex with Colleen, because he considered that to breach his agreement with his wife. Instead, he raped her with objects. To avoid painful punishments, Colleen tried to comply with Cameron's commandments, which later led to her being allowed to go out to jog and work in the yard, and even help him with bigger stuff like an underground dungeon for more slaves. Even with an open door, neighbors, and a telephone, she never made an attempt to escape because her fear of the Company kept her from seeking help. Additionally, Stan was also allowed to visit her family by herself in 1981, but did not reveal her situation due to her fear of the possible consequences from the Company. Her family thought she was involved in some sort of cult, and they did not want to pressure her to stay in fear that she would stay away forever. The next day, Colleen returned for a second visit with Cameron posing as her boyfriend. Cameron feared that he had given his slave too much freedom and took her back to his home, where he locked her in the wooden box under his waterbed. She remained in the box 23 hours a day for the next 3 years. Colleen would go to the bathroom using a bedpan which she positioned under herself with her feet. Once Cameron's children had gone to bed, he would take Colleen out of the box and feed her and torture her. Colleen was not allowed to make any noise, and she had to stay still for 23 hours a day in the complete dark, with little to no air to breathe. In the summer, the box would get over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. In 1983, Colleen was allowed to get a job as a maid at a hotel, and Cameron wanted her to become his second wife, which was a turning point for Janice, who is his wife. And in August 1984, Janice began struggling with herself and went to Colleen. She then told her that Cameron was not part of the Company and the Company wasn't even real. Janice then helped Colleen escape to a bus station where they had Colleen's parents help bring her home. Colleen Stan is still alive today, and she experiences PTSD and has extreme back and shoulder injuries, which is from being trapped in a small box for 7 years straight. This case is extremely gut-turning, and could you ever imagine this happening to you? Luckily, Cameron Hooker was found guilty of kidnapping and sexual assault and was sentenced to 104 years in prison.
Insane secrets, bro. Truly a freaking evil case, man. Seekers, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate your support, man. Like I said, guys, in order for us to grow, man, I need you guys to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, man, hit that post notification button as well. Just do those 3 simple steps, man. We can grow. Like I said, I appreciate you guys for supporting these past couple of videos. We're gonna keep going, man. Haven't missed a day of March, bro, so we gotta clap it up, man. guys, I'm catching the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, seekers.